Generally speaking, in the Vinaya, an action which requires intention for it to be an offense is no offense at all if there is no bad intention. At least in a lay context, unintended harm to others should not be counted against one. The perfect person abstains from causing injury both to seed life and plant life, which is in Pali called Bijgam Bhutgam. The Buddha felt that the humane sentiment of mankind is not to be limited merely to themselves, but to be extended to all sentient beings who should share as much kindness as mankind itself does. So the Buddha taught never to destroy the life of any living creature, however tiny it might be. It is even forbidden to throw, for example, the remains of food on green grass or into water, because the creatures living in both water and grass can be harmed. Monks are particularly forbidden from digging soil. Water must be strained and filtered before drinking because it can contain living beings. All those following bloody and cruel occupations such as butcher, fowler, hunter, fisherman, bandit, executioner and jailer are seen by Buddhism with a distinct disfavor. Similarly, professions involving cutting, flogging, binding, highway robbery, plundering are considered as violent and heinous crimes. In Buddhism, the circumstances under which a being is killed, as well as the physical and mental development of the being, decide the gravity of the moral guilt involved in killing. The karmic result of killing a man and killing a child vary in proportion to the physical and mental development of the two. In case of unavoidable need of goods made of leather, monks were allowed to use Ahiṃsā leather, that is, the skins of those animals that had died of natural death. Thus, early Indian Buddhism allowed the use of skins such as sheep skins, goat skins and deer skins as coverlets in all the border countries. The Buddhist concept of Ahiṃsā has two facets. One, negative, which covers infliction of injury inspired by compassion, self-restraint and the desire to alleviate pain. Two, positive, which covers non-injury inspired by the same motive and desire and intention. The negative aspect is based on the recognition of the fact that the universe as such is suffused with death and destruction. No one can survive and live in the world without committing one or the other kind of violence. The positive aspect of non-violence partakes of the nature of a moral ideal without which no social, human or cosmic order can survive. Violence cannot be eschewed completely and is inescapable in certain critical situations. In other words, in certain situations, application of negative aspect of non-violence is unavoidable. Buddhism also makes a distinction between man and animals plus plants, seeds, etc. Though destruction of or injury to both involves sin, there is a difference of degree. The sin accrued by killing a man is more than the cutting of a tree. If we go by the Pali Tipitaka as it is, the Buddha did not put a ban on the eating of meat. A monk is allowed to accept what has been put in his alms bowl. Then there is the case of Devdutt, the Buddha's cousin and brother-in-law, who may possibly have been inspired by the total prohibition observed by some Samans and Brahmins. He challenged the Buddha and asked him for a total ban on meat eating. The Buddha is said to have refused to do so. Many other references in the Pali Tipitaka also prove though almost incidentally, that the eating of meat was thought of as customary, and monks are recorded to have eaten flesh and fish frequently enough to give it the appearance of its having been a fairly important part of their diet. Meat, fish, fruit, dairy products and cereals, especially rice, constituted the staple food of the population, and the Buddha was strongly convinced that purity did not depend upon food, but on restraint over such bodily, mental and moral conduct as could defile a man. Pali-based Buddhism allowed monks to eat meat under certain circumstances. However, in 3 cases, meat cannot be eaten by a monk if he has seen, heard or suspected that the meat has been specially acquired for him by killing an animal. In other words, at the time of accepting cooked meat, if a monk has no reason to think that the animal whose flesh he is accepting was not killed on purpose for him, then the monk can accept it. This rule in Pali-based Buddhism is called Tikoti Parishuddha, that is pure in 3 ways. Pali Buddhism did not see any sin being committed by meat eating monks as long as they followed the rule of Tikoti Parishuddha, even if the meat that they happened to eat had been acquired by somebody by deliberate killing an animal to feed them.